This is a moment for people to recognize that they're not alone in this excessive worry about what other people think of them. And there's a path forward. Welcome back, or welcome to another Ask Me Anything on Finding Mastery. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Gervais, by trade and training a high-performance psychologist. And the purpose behind these conversations, behind these AMAs, is to hear from you, to explore the topics and questions that you've been wrestling with on your path to becoming. So the goal is to expand on the themes and lessons and best practices that we've discussed on the Finding Mastery podcast in order to make them even more applicable to your own life. So we're back with our favorite co-host, O'Neill Cespedes, and today we've got something special for you. As many of you know, in November of 2023, my new book, The First Rule of Mastery, Stop Worrying About What People Think of You, is coming out. And the response so far has been, it's been epic. So many people are already resonating with the topic. So in this AMA, we're going to explore your questions around the concept of FOPO, fear of people's opinions. So we dive into the challenges of being authentic in social settings, why even the best in the world struggle with FOPO, redefining success, how to bring more vibrance into your life, what it looks like to love yourself, and so much more. So with that, let's jump right into volume 12 of Finding Mastery's Ask Me Anything. Okay, we're back for another AMA.
Yes.
With the Cookie Monster.
Yeah,
Please describe what you're wearing. Please.
Okay, so I shouldn't have to feel like this, but on the way over here, I was in the car and I was like, I know he's gonna say something about it. O'Neill, don't let him break you. Just walk in there like it's nothing. Like this is what you do. Own it. Own it. Don't
and you
care.
are.
I'm a big fan of Cookie Monster.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as a kid, I was like, I want to be Cookie Monster, and obviously I couldn't be Cookie Monster because I'm a human being. It's you can't be Cookie Monster if you're a human being, right? But as a grown man, right? If I see something that's Cookie Monster-ish, right? Like this cardigan, and it took me back to my childhood days, why not do it? I'm grown. No one's gonna tell me what to do.
I love the freedom. Right? This is one of the favorite parts about knowing you and doing this with you is that there is a freedom that you exude, and it feels so real, evidenced by like you wearing something that is reserved for very few people to actually wear, and somehow you pull it off again.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I try not to let people steal my joy.
You don't. That's good. All right, let's dig in.
Let's do it. But before we do this, I want to congratulate you. I got my advanced copy of your book, First Rule of Mastery. Stop worrying about what other people think. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Love this. I've been skimming through it, right? I'm going to go into it deeper later. But I kind of want to be honest with you, man. This helped with me putting the sweater on today. I'm not lying.
I mean, Cookie Monster, this book helped you be...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because I bought this some time ago and I wore it one other time and I got teased a great deal. And I'm O'Neill, right? So I do what I want to do. I wear what I want to wear. But the reluctancy started creeping in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you kind of, in a way, help.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Okay, well, like everyone's going to do something a little different with the book. so this is great.
And, with the book coming out, we decided to sort some questions around the theme of the book. FOPO, fear of other people's opinions.
I love that. Let's get into it.
All right. So, got a question from Christina. Hey, Dr. Gervais. New listener here as of last month. Love your podcast, and it's really cool that you do these AMAs. I found out through an announcement of your book, and I saw your book title, and I'm a little confused. Shouldn't we care what other people think? I feel like it can be narcissistic to completely stop caring about what others think.
Okay, so what she's picking up on, the title of the book is The First Rule of Mastery. The subtitle is Stop Worrying About What People Think of You. And it's a good question that she asks because, yes, we do need to attend to opinions of others. It is important to know and understand opinions of other people. There's some people that we should deeply value their opinion, and there's others that it's really noisy. But that's not the central question here, is It's not about whose opinions to value. It's about worrying about opinions in general. So the subtitle is Stop Worrying About People's Opinions. And that worry, this pervasive, slippery little invisible, consistent, non-clinical, does not meet the threshold. Fear of people's opinions, as we're calling FOPO, does not meet the threshold for any type of clinical anxiety. But it's this very slippery little filter that we have operating for most of us, if not nearly all of us. Narcissists don't really have this. Sociopaths don't really have this, at least in the same way we have it. So it's this undercurrent about, I wonder what they'll think of me. And I wonder what they'll think of me if I wear a sweater that, is different or weird or whatever. And it's that excessive worry right underneath the surface that shapes our thoughts, it shapes our words, and it shapes our behaviors. And for the most part, we play it safe to be part of the pack as opposed to, get on the edge and be authentic and bold. And so this title is really about the first rule of mastery is to work from the inside out. And when you invest in your own psychology, other people's opinions start to fade away. But more importantly, the worrying of those opinions becomes a bit more distant.
I find it interesting because I've always been the kind of person who I pride myself on not caring what people think, right? And when that leaks into my brain even a little bit, I'll take a risk and I'll take a chance. Like I'll put on something crazy or I'll go left when everyone's going right, just to make myself embrace and live in that moment of just listen, you can't follow the crowd. You can't worry about what people think. But as I've gotten older, right, those things creep into my mind more and more and more. And my question to you is this: is it something normal as you age to be like, maybe I should just conform a little bit more. Maybe I should,
Yeah, I think it could go a couple different ways for sure. Before I answer that part, the other part that you said is like, I don't care. And I'm not addressing that in the book. I'm addressing the worry about what they might think later, or how we operate in social settings to try to figure out what somebody might be thinking. And that excessive processing and noise is just a drain on the system. So we're going after the worry, not necessarily the caring. But what I like about what you're suggesting is that you practice. When you feel constricted in some way or you're over-indexing on what somebody might be thinking, is that you practice zigging when you know that the pull is the zag, so to speak. So that I love that when I hear that from you. And I think that's right on the money. The second part is when we get older. Is that your question?
Yeah.
I think that can go two ways. I think of professors that are tenured and safe in their career. Tenure meaning that they can't get fired.
Yeah.
Say and do just about anything. Not really, but they've got this incredible freedom to be academically and intellectually adventurous. And that requires some freedom to do that. The freedom of, and the fear of not getting fired, I should say. So there's a freedom in that type of security. So that's less about what people are going to think because there's a freedom that they have and a permission and a support to go pursue.
Yeah.
And then I think about the most frail of folks that are like old, that they can no longer use their body. Well, yeah, we better try to figure out how to be inside the pack, because if we can't keep up in some kind of way or we don't feel safe and protected, the wolves of the world will pluck us off. So there's that part. And while our physical decline takes place, which is normal and natural, hopefully our intellectual, emotional, and psychological prowess is developing. So we hold a sense of insight and wisdom that we can offer others, and knowing that our physical decline is something that they need to help us with. So there's continually a relationship between ourselves and the pack, if you will. But I think it can go either way.
Yeah.
It depends on some of the conditions that your unique life has.
Gotcha. All right, so the next question is from Charlie. I'm so excited for your book. Congrats. Is FOPO, fear of other people's opinion, something you've seen with everybody, even those even athletes and musicians you work with? Even as I'm typing this, maybe it's more detrimental to them.
That's a good question. So that question to me is like, I hear, is this, I have it, do others have it? And is it worse for some extraordinary performers? The short version of a long story is I had fear of people's opinions, this too much of a worry about what other people think for a long time in my life. And I didn't like it. I knew it was there and I didn't like it. I was good at figuring out how to be social in social settings. And so there's a chameleon effect that I had developed that served me well, but there was a compromise to that. And so I didn't have language around it. I didn't have a way to really understand it. And I kept it private, like embarrassingly so, that I would overthink about what you might think of me. And I worried about that. And of course, it's unique to my upbringing. It's unique to my circumstances, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't talk about it because, like I said, I was embarrassed about it. And then I started studying the psychology of excellence and spending time with best in the world. And they would bring something up very similar to it. I was like, I'm not alone. And so we'd process that and we'd develop some insights around how to help people through that. I say we, it's like me and the mouse in my pocket. But we meaning the performer and myself in a live laboratory, because I didn't know the best science to stand on. All we had is like different forms of anxiety and how to work through anxiety. But this was just a little bit different. And so we started to develop some insights and practices around how to work through this worry about what people might think. And then when I was doing the research on this book, Beethoven had it. Beethoven had FOPO, one of the greatest of all time, somebody who has absolutely set the standard for genius expression in music and other forms. And Beethoven was identified himself as being the best. And then his hearing went. And he was so ashamed about his hearing. And he's got this great insight, like, how could somebody as perfect as I am in music have such a malady that my hearing is gone? What will they think of me? And he goes into, he plays a game. And the game he played was, he couldn't really hear people, or he could only hear bits of what people were saying. So he would present as if he was in this creative rapture. And that's a word that he used to describe this place that he would go to, the rapture, this passionate, creative, internal space. And he would play like as he was walking amongst us, that he was in his raptus, but he actually couldn't hear. So he was doing this social thing to present like he was okay, but he wasn't. He couldn't hear. And then when it became so bad for him that he really couldn't hear, he went away. He went away for years. And he went into his quote unquote creative cave, and he became a bit of a recluse. And it was dark, suicidally dark, deeply depressed, overwhelmed by trying to figure out how to express his art. And he couldn't tune to the music outside of him. He couldn't hear anything. So he had to listen to the music inside of him, the art inside of him. And he worked through that depression, suicidality. And one of the things that we wildly know Beethoven for is bum, 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 right? Symphony number 5. And that happened during his deaf phase. And so he never got his hearing back. I don't want to say like it came back. As the story goes, not the myth of it, but what's it called? The allure of the story is that was him pounding his fist on the piano, like, why can't I hear? And they said, wait, that's music. Bum, 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 bum. And so it turned in, so he used in some forms his frustration and his fear and his overwhelmment of not being able to express the art that he knew how to command at the highest level. And he had to now do it in a new way. And it created one of the greatest works of art ever. And so Beethoven, when it comes to classical music, is punk rock, and he is radical, and he's right in there. And I don't think he's a healthy human or was a healthy human. Like, he was very complicated. From a young age, his dad manipulated even the age that he was. So he was having to present like he was younger because virtuosos were young. And so he had this very complicated, propped up image that he had to hold for his whole life. Then he loses the one thing that the most exceptional musicians are supposed to fully command: hearing and tuning of music. And so, yeah, I had it. I'm not comparing myself to Beethoven by any means. And then so many of the folks that I spend time with, and even the great Beethoven, I think it's available and present for most of us. And so I'm going to pause and say, like, do you recognize a worry at any form, or any part of your life, a worry of what others might think of you?
One of the probably main ones, number one on my list, is being at the age that I'm at and not being where I think I should be in life.
Yeah, that's right.
People looking at me and saying, I think you're a really talented person. I've even, some time ago, maybe 15, 16 years ago, I had a landlord, because I was going through a whole bunch of different things and I was getting evicted. And the landlord walked up to me and he put his hand on my shoulder and he's like, you know, O'Neill, I just don't understand why all these things are happening to you and you're going through all these things. You're one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. I don't understand. This shouldn't be happening to you. And he just walked away. And it kind of played into things that I've heard since I was young. So you take those things and you apply it to where you are in life currently or at the present time. Yep. And then you're like, man, I'm not what people think that I am.
That's it.
What I've been told for so long.
Therein lies like an on-ramp to FOPO, is like, what are they thinking about my condition in life? Yeah. Where are they thinking about my success or failure or how I'm doing in life? That's an on-ramp to FOPO. That in essence is it. So it takes many forms. Obviously, you don't have FOPO about the way you dress. Okay, let's be clear.
I should have known that was coming.
Yeah.
No, I don't. You know what's interesting? What you were just saying about Beethoven and how when you saw that Beethoven had FOPO, and you're like, okay, it sort of maybe, correct me if I'm wrong here, sort of unconsciously gave you this permission to experience it and go through it, right? Which is so crazy because I remember, and God, I still do this every blue moon.
Did you say every blue moon?
Every blue moon.
Like every blue sweater?
No. I'll never wear a sweater again.
Yeah.
You're
is this like critique?
You're deconstructing what you built right now from the book
so
on me.
Yeah, no, and you know what's funny? Like, before you get to the blue moon idea, is that I'm having fun with like the blue sweater, but that doesn't mean you are. So before and like as a proponent for like, go for it in life and be you and do your thing and and I hope that my fun with your blue sweaters is actually not a subtle little critique and criticism and judgment, like, because I'm not coming from that place.
No, actually, you're giving me attention. And it makes me feel good about myself. That's twisted, right?
That's even more complicated. Yeah, that's good.
That's another whole other segment. I'm like, giving me some attention. Let me light myself on fire. Blue fire. Blue fire. Yeah, so I'm enjoying it. That's the twisted side of me.
Okay.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, when you discovering Beethoven, having FOPO and it unconsciously giving you this permission to, work through it, right? Because you're like, okay, the great had it. So, I've never told anybody this, but I got to talk about this now because it's just I can't let it go. What I would do every blue moon, I would get on Google and I'd Google like actors that started their careers late in life. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's a couple. Oh, yeah.
There's a couple, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Actors that started their careers in their late 30s. Oh, God, okay. And so forth and so on, because I needed to see these people that are in the same situation and circumstance that I'm in. And I need to know that they made it through because it will give me permission to go through it and some hope that I can get through it as well.
Isn't that amazing? Like the safety we feel in numbers is so biological. Yeah. Matter of fact, if somebody does one thing 3 times versus 3 people that do one thing 1 time, we feel safer amongst that group of 3 people that did the one thing versus around the one person that did it 3 times. So safety in numbers is what that's about. And so, the one wild person that raises their hand on a jury that says, I disagree with the crowd, they might be the crazy ones.
Yeah.
But if 2 raise their hand, it's like, whoa, maybe something's going on here. So there's something about safety in numbers and crowd that is so biological, it's so neurological that I think in many cases we need to recognize and honor that, and at the same time recognize and honor that it could suck us into wanting just approval and fearing rejection. That's the essence of this book, The First Rule of Mastery, is to recognize the pull for acceptance, how that can help you and debilitate some of your artistic expressions in life, and that very subtle, sensitive scanning the world for even the hint of rejection might be one of the great culprits to the potential that lies dormant for many of us. And I want to add that Beethoven, scores of clients that I've spent time with, myself, people I know and love, you're not alone, meaning people are not alone in this worry of what other people think of them. This is one of the reasons I wrote this book, is that there is a path through it. There is a clear way to understand best practices, to find that sense of freedom from this anxiousness and this worry about what others might think of us. And just the idea that this is not something that is private for just you, or, I'm not speaking to you directly. This is a moment for people to recognize that they're not alone in this excessive worry about what other people think of them. And there's a path forward.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was just thinking to myself, like, okay, now I don't have to Google at what age. I can use your book and it'll help me out more than me doing the same. I've been trying to get out of that habit. Yeah, it's such a, for lack of a better word, for me, a mind fuck, because there's a part of me that's like, I'm not going with the group or the crowd. I'm not. I can stand alone. I can do this by myself because I'll make some discoveries. I don't have to worry about you.
Do you like thump your chest when you say it?
Yeah, and by myself though, in the mirror. Yeah, I'm like,
But I recognize that too, like the bold, out front, that
cavalier,
that lonely, I recognize the value in that as well. And do you also recognize the pull to be part of?
I do, for me, but only in the sense that I know with a group you can get farther. I know that with a group you can get farther, and as a team you can get farther. My experiences have pushed me away from that because there's a lot of crazy things that happen within the group. You have to deal with different personalities.
Yeah.
You sometimes have to follow a person that you don't deem worthy to follow.
Yeah, right.
There's the herd mentality when you just want to be an individual, but everyone's trying to get on the same page and think the same way. I guess for lack of a better, I fear getting lost in the collective.
Okay, so we wrestle that down as well, because sometimes, this is going to sound harsh, but sometimes the people that are the most resistant to your change are the ones that you're closest to. So your aunt and uncle, mom, dad, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, they like who you are. They've made a choice to be around you a lot. And when you say, I want to be completely different, I want to make $1 billion, I want to wear blue sweaters, I want to do whatever I want to do, and it's different than the operating system that they feel safe with, there's a pull back to the norm, to the average. There's a pull to keep you inside the fence. And sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones that care about us the most. They're the most dangerous because they're pulling us into a place where they feel safe. And that is biological and normal as well. And we just want to raise the flag to say there are a set of practices to deploy to free up. And as long as you know what some of the tendencies are, then you can accept them and work with them. And so I'm just jacked on the book, and I'm jacked on like where where we landed on the research and the very applied nature throughout the book. So thank you for bringing it up. And I hope people are interested in it. Or I hope people recognize that there is a different way.
Yeah, I mean, you're welcome. I mean, congrats on the book. I love it for selfish reasons. I'm looking forward to unlock more of my
there we go. That's
fashion.
That's it. That's exactly more your fashion. You said, yeah.
You might. I can't wait to wear maybe bat wings in here or something.
Okay, before we go on, and I think that this could be a question. It's not, but you brought it up. Is this idea of my age, my level of success?
Yeah.
Relative to the standards that somebody holds. Whether it's an idea that you held for yourself at a young age, or your parents held, or your community holds, or what Instagram holds, whatever, right? There's a standard. And for a while, I think we drank this idea that success is some metric of external success. That if we can point to something physical, then we're good.
Yeah.
House on the top of the hill, whatever it might be. All right, so cool. And there's nothing wrong with external rewards and successes. They're cool, no problems at all. If you can afford 4 gold watches, this is my father-in-law saying this, if somebody can afford 4 gold watches, great. Make sure you can afford them now, right? Okay, this is second beat. But I think that there's an opportunity for us to redefine success in a way that when I think about success, and I'd love to hear your thought on it, is that the new wealth, so old wealth could buy a lot, but new wealth is about vitality. New wealth is about a glow. It's about this sense of buoyancy and a deep flourishing in life where you walk in, and because of that glow, you literally might glow from, like, your skin might glow, that twinkle behind your eye happens, but there's just this spark and spirit. Money's not going to necessarily be the thing to buy that. Money can provide maybe some time. I'm time poor. So money is not the answer here, but a commitment to learn how to work from the inside out to have that, what I would call a new wealth, that spark, that creative essence of life. I'm way more interested in that at this phase of my life. So I wonder if you could, because you have that. And I wonder if you could think through expanding or contouring, the way that you think about success in a way that might give you a little bit of space in there.
Yeah, that's been the topic of conversation with us for quite some time now, and I'm still sorting through that, because I think unconsciously I know that vitality, community, your health, all these things are what the new wealth is. I know that, right? And I tend to those things. I try to tend to them as best of my ability. I think I do it well. But the way of the world, the programming that was occurring when I was coming up for most of us, is still.
Let me ask this question. Do you think, it's not a biased question, but do you think that the health of the world is an A, a B, a C, a D, an F? What grade do you give the health of the world?
An F.
An F.
An F.
However, see the logic dilemma here. However, so according to the way of the world, which I think is failing, okay, from a success metric or whatever, I'm pulled to want to be part of that. That makes me short circuit a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you square those two?
I'm short circuiting too. Because I ask myself that question. I know this is a horrible model. I know this is not something. I know this is failing, and that's why I'm tending to the vitality side of it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm giving maybe the vitality side 70%.
Who do you know that's got that inner fire that's alive, whew.
And is absolved of all the worldly things?
No, maybe it has both. But I'm just saying, in and of itself has this, they are the emblem for the spirit of life.
I'm not biased when I say this. I'm not being biased because I'm not a biased person. Actually,
Yeah, you are. We all are. We're all subjective beings.
But I would say Kaisa. Let me give you an example. Yes, let me give you an example. Today I was in the bathroom, and the bathroom is my office. I was doing some work in there, and I hear this loud, and I jump up and I'm like, "What's going on? Is somebody breaking in? Is somebody coming?" But she's wishing her niece happy birthday. Yeah. This is her 24/7. Almost to the point where, when I first met her, I was like, "Yo, I feel like you kind of fake with your happiness." That's my problem.
You're checking.
Right? That's my issues, my hang up. I'm like, you can't love everybody. You can't be excited about everything.
Mm-hmm. You
can't be a cheerleader for every single person. But she is. She's vibrant all the time. And sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and, I'm a morning person, but I'm a curmudgeon morning person, right? And she'll be like, "Yo, I need you to calm down. I need you to be a little happier in the morning, be a little nicer and whatnot." And I'm like, "Why are you so happy? Why are you always smiling? Why are you always happy for some people she bought some M&Ms. Why are you happy about her buying some M&Ms?"
Yeah.
I marvel at that. I marvel at people that can be excited for the littlest things that we deem. I mean, she ain't buy a building in downtown New York City. Why are you hype about her buying some M&Ms? Mm-hmm. I'm also trying to find that within myself. Like, okay, how can I be like that? How can I be hyped over things that I deem, for lack of a better word, insignificant, right?
Yeah, that is so cool, man, to have people in your life that are close partner that has that fire that you're wanting more of. Like, I wish that for all of us.
Yeah. Okay, next question is from John from Washington. I've always wanted to pursue a career in the arts, but my family has different expectations for me. How can I follow my passion without letting the opinions of my loved ones hinder my path?
I want to defer to you. Oh, man. You knew this was coming, probably,
yeah,
right?
I did. Yeah, I want to skip this question.
Yeah, but just like a first response here is like, it's a lovely question. It's just, again, this is just the richness of the questions and the depth of them it's a lovely question. And so how do you square that for yourself?
At the risk of sounding cliche, which I'm probably going to still sound cliche, is I would just say, think about what you what you would do even if you didn't get paid for it. For me, it's that simple. What would I do even if I didn't get paid for it? Everyone knows I like to talk. I like to make people laugh. I like to perform. So it just made sense to me to pursue this. You know what I mean? And I know that for my mental health, right, and my spiritual health, that I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't get a 9-to-5 job. I didn't want to be a doctor. I couldn't do it because I wouldn't be O'Neill. And man, I'm really I hope this doesn't sound egotistical, but I'm really in love with who I am. I love myself, and I don't want to lose any part of myself to a job or anything. I just don't. And I would gamble my life on it. I would just gamble my life on it, because even if I'm on my deathbed and I don't reach what I think is my expectation for myself, I just want to know that I went all out and I went after what I wanted to do, something that made me happy, something that just filled O'Neill up. That's the way I want to go out. That's just me though.
Again, I'll use that word lovely. Like, I don't have anything to add to it. And I think that I want that for me, for people I love, is like to have that sense of love and the commitment to honor the growth of who that person's becoming. So it's a windy road, life is. It's an adventure. I don't think it's a journey. Like some people feel like passengers. I feel like we can all be adventurers in our life, and there's no charted path. So it's part of the adult life is to figure out who you are and dress accordingly. And I don't mean that literally, to blue sweaters and such.
Yeah.
But I do but I do mean like know who you are, and then you figure out how to love that, all of you. That is radical. So I'm wishing the more artistry for more people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question? Do you know people that seemingly from the outside are on the top of the mountain, and then when you have conversations, you think their life is a certain way, and then when you have conversations with them, you come to the realization that they're just highly depressed and just unsatisfied with the current situation that they're in, but to the outside world, they seem to be in this amazing situation. I had someone tell me one time, a successful person tell me, there's nothing worse than climbing all the way up to the mountain and then realizing that you have to die on that mountain, you know? And it kind of opened my eyes to what I want and what I thought I wanted, at least, you know? And that's just a situation that I never wanted to be in. But do you know people like that? And if so, right? If so, what do you think because this is a question that I've asked myself a million times. What do you think plays into staying in a situation that really doesn't cater to who you are?
Let me add one asterisk to the first part of the question, which was, do I know people that publicly are the emblem of success and then privately struggle? If you said severely depressed, I can say yes to that. And then I would, if we didn't say severely depressed, but said struggling, that their inner life and outer life are not in perfect pitch, that there's a difference between the public life and the private life. I'm going to put a big word out here and say, I want to say all, but I know that that's unreasonable. So most people, their public life and private life are not tuned. And there's plenty of people that are just really happy. Like they've kind of cracked a good life. They've got good genetic coding. They've got the right internal and external resources. And there's plenty of people there. But so many people that I know that are on the world stage have a dark side, a troubling side, an unsettledness because they jumped on the treadmill of high performance early and they wanted to jump on they didn't realize it, but really what they wanted was a different treadmill. And when you say the mountaintop piece, there's an insight from a person who is a radical explorer. And I'm going to keep the industry and obviously the name private here. And the insight said back to me is like, Mike, I want you to understand the places I've gone and the experiences I've had are amazing. And I don't have anybody in my life that knows how those things smell and feel. And I am so lonely because I've spent my whole life climbing the mountain that I don't know anyone that's seen those sunsets and those berries. And I'm adding some like concreteness here just to bring it home. So there's a loneliness in some respects to committing to being your very best that is not for most people. And so we prop up this aspirational, like, be a hero of your own life and go for it, when there is a loneliness and a dark side that needs to be squared to do that. And I most people, when they even get close to it, like, shudder. So I'm answering a couple of things here. One is there's a dark side that is not talked about, and I don't think we're really even ready publicly to talk about it. We're better than 5 years ago than we were 50 years ago, but it's still in there. And so private lives and public lives are not tuned for most people. Do you want to tune those two?
I do. I do badly. I really do.
You can. It's possible.
Yeah. See, that's good news.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
It takes risk. And this is what I keep coming back to the book, but like this is a big part of the book, is the vulnerability to take the risk, to be authentically tuned to what is true for you. That is rare. It takes time and practice. And we're all a work in progress, but it is possible.
The scary thing about wanting that, right, is not having many examples of that. Because again, right, I Google to see the examples to feel comfortable, to be like, okay, all right, I'm in decent company. Okay, these people. When you don't have that example in front of you, or you know, I'm not saying they don't exist, but when you don't have that in front of you, to go after that undiscovered country and to be the pioneer in your realm or in your area is a scary thing, because you're like, man, I don't have an example of this, so I certainly can't be that example.
Sure you
when
can.
actually you can be,
of
right?
course you can. Yeah, of course we can. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. All right, last question. Dr. Mike, during social gatherings, I sometimes feel like I'm on the outside looking in, even if I'm surrounded by close friends or family. Can you explain why someone might feel this way and offer suggestions on how to engage more fully in the moment?
Could this be a description of dissociation, where you feel like you're not in your own self, and this is a serious clinical disorder? I doubt it. I doubt that's what's happening. But as a decision tree that I work through often with hearing and feeling what's happening with a question, that pops up for me. Like, is this a true psychological condition? Let's say it's not. Let's say this is just like, I feel like I'm not part of it. Okay. Is that because we're thinking about depression? That sense of isolation and loneliness, even amongst others, is one of the 2 criteria or hallmarks of depression. So maybe there's something there. Maybe it is something to do with self-esteem. Maybe it's this inner narrative that is related to, I don't know if I belong, and I'm going to check in to see if I'm okay. I'm going to check in the eyes and body language of others to see if they're accepting me. And once I do that, and I find cues that they're seeing me as favorable, then I feel more invited into the pack. That's dangerous as a way to go through life. So I'm ruling out a couple of conditions, and maybe the questioner here goes, oh, that I do feel dissociated. I feel like I'm just not in my body anywhere. I feel like I'm not, like there's like something really different about me so go check that out. Or maybe it's just good old depression. Most humans go through one episode of depression in their life. If you're fortunate and you only have one, cool. If you're somebody that has more than 5 episodes of a depressive experience, and there's criteria of what for a depressive episode, you're likely to have recurring episodes of depression throughout your life. So if you fall into that category, it's hard to feel part of something when you don't feel part of your own self, when you've got this part of you that is sad and lonely and depressed. So explore that. And the other one is like, maybe you're just speaking to yourself a certain way that isn't like propping you up and you're not backing you. That's good old cognitive behavioral training can get in there and help, like self-talk training and then the last one, like I said, is like, sometimes we outsource our sense of being okay. And all of those could be available to this person. And then is there anything else that pops up for you that the way you hear it and read through that question?
I don't know. It's interesting because if I'm not using my phone to escape, right?
Is that what you're doing?
In social gatherings, if I feel awkward, I rarely do I ever feel awkward, but when it does hit me, it hits me hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I use my phone for escapism. Or if I'm not using my phone.
You use it as a signal that you've got something important happening?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about to the point where, I'm faking it. There's nothing on the phone. I'm just like, okay, so.
Yeah, right.
But I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's a signal. It's a social signal that hey, I got something going on over here.
Yeah.
And I'm good. Hold on. I'll be over to you guys when I decide.
Precisely.
Yeah, I got big things happening.
I got big things happening. I'm looking for another blue sweater. You know what I'm saying? Or I search for my people, right? I search for people
in a social setting.
Yeah, that I can relate to, like-minded individuals. I'll eavesdrop on conversations. That's crazy because I got that too. Something that I can latch on to see that you're my people, right?
Yeah.
Or
that's super savvy.
The classic punch bowl thing.
What is that?
You get, like you're getting some water, or you're getting some food or hors d'oeuvres. I go over there too. Man, this cheese is crazy, right? It's delicious cheese.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then you start that conversation out.
Yeah.
Rarely am I standing in a corner by myself, right?
Mhm.
But when I am standing in a corner by myself, the rare times it happens, it's overwhelming.
Mhm. Sadness or anxiousness for you?
Anxious.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's overwhelming because I'm so accustomed to finding a way of ingratiating myself
Mhm.
with people. Like that's my skill, right? I can come into a room and, find my people or fake it like I have something important going on or, talk about food or find something relatable.
What would you do if you didn't pull to the phone drug? What would be another way to not use that drug?
The phone drug?
Yeah, the phone drug.
What do you mean?
What are the other ways that you work with that tension?
I guess the two other ways that I talked about, like finding some common ground,
Mhm.
but that takes effort, Dr. Mike. That takes effort.
Mhm.
Why would I do that when I got my phone in my pocket?
I
right?
love hearing you talk about the charismatic, handsome, athletic O'Neill, the intelligent human that you are, to be able to say, yeah, I get awkward too sometimes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. I feel like it's what you said earlier. I feel like the feeling of being awkward is even heavier because the expectation that you put on yourself, like I'm expected to fit in, or people expect me to fit in with them immediately when I walk in. Like, what's up? I'm O'Neill. Hey, what's going on? Where the party at? and sometimes I walk in there like, man, I don't want to be here, or this feels really weird. I don't feel like I should be here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that state is under your state of being, and the internal collision of chemistry and electricity and the frameworks that you're operating from are an important thing to also note. Is that if you're fatigued, if you just had a meal or hadn't had a meal, if you are agitated from something or overwhelmed, like all of that state of being is often discounted. And then we expect that we're supposed to rise to some sort of occasion of gregarious, social, but the state is really important to honor. And when we become better tuned to the internal state, we are better able to be connected externally, or to be okay being in a private way in a public setting. And so that just honoring the state of being, I think, is really important too.
you're a genius, Dr.
Oh,
Mike. You are a genius. That happened to me recently, and it was the state that I was in.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Are you gonna explain that?
I didn't want to, but okay, I will.
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna drag it out of me.
Yeah.
I was at an event with someone, and we had a long 2 days. Was it 2 days? And we didn't get any sleep and whatnot. And then I had to go to a family gathering, and I just wasn't myself. I was tired. I didn't feel like talking to anybody. I didn't feel like being social. And
Pre-family anxiety.
no, it wasn't even that.
No,
It wasn't. I was
okay.
just. It was the state.
You
It was exactly
agitated or tired.
yes.
Both or one?
Both. I was
yeah.
agitated and tired, and I was trying to be a trooper and hang in there and whatnot. And I think my level of irritation was heightened because I was mad at myself. Like, come on, man, this is you. You O'Neill. Man, go talk to somebody. Make them, what I'm saying? Make them fall in love with you. Then go talk to this person.
Mhm.
Make everybody just circle around you. And you O'Neill, do what you do. And I was upset that I couldn't do that.
There's a lot of like work there,
Yeah.
as opposed to like, I'm gonna go be me.
Yeah. But then being me in that particular state, though,
Yeah.
Dr. Mike, being me in that particular state meant that I was going to sit down, which is what I did, and not talk to anybody. And that
what would happen if you did that? Say, hey, everyone, I'm in a wedding right now. I love you guys. I'm agitated as hell, and I'm gonna go sit and hang.
they judge me.
That's cool.
They'd feel like I was.
They will.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
They will, Neil.
They will.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I long for that. I long for that. That candor where I can just be like, hey, listen, I don't know nobody here, but I don't want to talk to none of y'all. I'm just here with her, but I'm tired. Nobody talk to me.
That's a little much.
That's a little much, right?
That's a little much.
That's what
Were
I
you
wanna
with
do.
your family or not with your family?
I was with her family.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that makes it a little trickier.
It makes it very tricky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I long for the two. I long for that. I see that as a lofty ambition, is to be, a bit more eloquent in authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. There's work for us to do now.
There's work for us to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you more. Thank you. This has been amazing.
All right. All right. All the best.
Thank you. You as well.